Another week of Major League Soccer, the first Saturday of April, and it will be the Chicago Fire who come into town, square off against the Red Bulls at Sports Illustrated Stadium. Max, I think it's fair to say that so far through the first 6 weeks, this is a very different looking Chicago Fire team. And maybe as you look at the standings in the Eastern Conference, the top four team might be the surprise right now in Major League Soccer.
Yeah, I think you hit that right on the nose. And Matt, thanks so much for having me again. But yeah, to speaking about this team in a positive light, and to hear analysts and pundits all around MLS and Apple TV talking about this team going in the right direction, and being one of the surprises of not just the East but of the league so far. Has been a thrill. We have as many road wins as we did all of last year, three in a row. Obviously, looking to make it four on the hop this weekend. So it's been awesome to be a part of.
When you think of it, other than the coaching change, which is monumental on some respects for this organization, what's been the biggest difference on the field for this team?
I think the biggest difference has to start with, a rising tide lifts all ships, and the play around Ugo Kuipers from Jonathan Bamba and from Philip Zinkernagel to his left and to his right, respectively, I think has really brought Ugo Kuipers to that next level, that number nine that all Chicago Fire fans were hoping they would get last year. But, 10 goals, probably not meeting that expectation, but already 5 goals and assists this year. He's been incredible. Bombo with 4 assists, a guy who's just been electric. He's so incisive and creative. Maybe you would like to see him even be a little bit more selfish. Zinkernagel's really come into his own the last couple of games. So I'd say the play up top around Kuipers has been very different. And then almost even just the mentality. You talk about on the field, but it feels like we're going to see games out, and it feels like good things are going to happen in stressful situations, which hasn't really been the case the last few years, I'll say.
Yeah, I was just going to go, Max, to all right, that's on field. Off field, you'd have to easily point to Greg Berhalter being the guy that is in charge now of this organization. And from that word, that mentality side of things, it's a completely different attitude that if you're wearing a Chicago Fire sweatshirt in and out of training, you probably just feel like you're almost part of a different organization than you were a year ago.
Yeah, I would totally agree. And to have a guy guiding the ship with such a proven track record at the international level, at the MLS level as well, and a guy who's so proven on the field, but also does such a great job of molding youthful players and showing confidence and letting everybody know where they stand. It just feels like this team has much more depth than you would have expected, because he's getting the best out of. I mean, the midfield trio you want out there every day, we haven't seen once out there so far. Brian Gutierrez has missed on international duty, injury last week, suspension as well. Kellen Acosta trying to work his way back from injury. Romane Koame hasn't made a start yet, just 2 appearances off the bench. So getting the best out of guys like Sergio Orahel and Sam Williams, and these 19-year-olds who haven't had really any time starting, are playing pretty well under Coach Burrow.
When you look at the schedule thus far, I'm peeking at it right now. Win over FC Dallas, win over Toronto, win over Vancouver. That one, obviously, all of those impressive. Those are all wins that took place on the road. Now, starting though, I think one of those like early to mid season stretches where you're going to really figure out, is this Fire team for real? You're on the road at Red Bull, home for Chicago, home for Cincinnati. All three of those teams were expected going into the year to be among top four, top five teams in the Eastern Conference. This will be a stretch for Chicago that at the end of that, you'll be able to say, we're for real, or we've got some work still to do.
Yeah, it's not just one litmus test, really. It is this stretch that we've talked so much about at length on air. Because March, yeah, 3 road wins. FC Dallas was a great late comeback victory. Toronto, another come from behind win. As well as anybody else, sometimes in MLS, you just catch a team at the right time. That's kind of what happened with us with Vancouver. They're missing 7 starters due to injury or international duty. But these next 3 weeks are going to be monumental to see exactly how we, face up and size up against the best. I mean, you guys were in MLS Cup final last year. We know what Inter Miami is, and they obviously have a lot of games in the next couple of weeks leading up to the one at Soldier Field. We're personally obviously hoping to see Messi. We've played Inter Miami 3 times since he's come over. We haven't seen him play once. He hasn't made the trip to Chicago once either. So, yeah, a lot to be learned in the next few weeks to see exactly if we can hang with the best. Because obviously, right now we're top five, but things change. It's very early.
Max, appreciate you coming on, giving us a couple minutes. Always good to catch up with you. Looking forward to, I think, end of July, making a trip back to the Windy City. This is a fun game when these teams play, and looking forward to it on Saturday.
Absolutely, Matt. Thanks so much for having me and have a good call on Saturday.